And then he came back the next morning and said, could you be loved and be loved? And I thought, can I have a piece of that? And that was where the song came about, you know, and it was an instant smash. And it got all the black people dancing, and it went to number 5 on Billboard, or number 10, actually, Billboard. And that's the history behind that song. You know, it wasn't an accident. It was actually crafted from conversations with people about how can we bring people together with the music and the lyrics. Could you be loved and be loved? That's so simple, you know. That was just the song. The whole thing is like, could you be loved and be loved? Can you? Do I get a yes out there? Yeah. Okay, so go ahead, play the music. You guys feel that?
And you worked with Bob Marley from 1977 pretty much up till, well, his final concert and his final moments, and were very involved with him at that time. Can you talk a little bit about that point, the final concert? Because I know that it was, as you've told me, it was a bit unexpected. It wasn't what people thought was happening.
Yes, it was very, very unexpected because Bob was very physical in terms of sport. He loved to play soccer. He played soccer in the dressing room. He played soccer on the stage and sound check, you know. Like, he told me one day, you know, I never envisioned myself being a singer, guitarist, songwriter. I always envisioned myself being a soccer player, playing for Liverpool or Manchester United in England or something like that. So he said that was his first passion, was to be a soccer player. And his first manager was the best ever soccer player in Jamaica, a man by the name of Alan Cole, who was recruited by Pele and is still the only Jamaican to have ever played for a Brazilian team, Santos. He was that good. I mean, his feet were like his hands, you know. And he and Bob hit it off, not just because of soccer, but because they had a similar background, you know, being both Jamaicans and growing up in a similar way, etc. And so, you know, it was difficult for Bob to split himself between what he really wanted to do was be a soccer player, or I'm a musician now. Can I still be a soccer player? So he trained pretty hard and played a lot of soccer everywhere. What was the question again?
Talking about sort of the fact that, I mean, that's one of the things, the fact that his physicality kind of led to the essential tragedy of his death. And just...
Yeah, well, Bob played soccer a lot. If he had the right shoes, he would play. If he didn't have the right shoes, he would play barefoot. And he was in Jamaica and he stepped on a rusty nail. And Bob grew up in the countryside of Jamaica. They don't have doctors there. You know, you use homeopathic type medicine. You know, you take a leaf from the tree and you rub on it, and you take a branch and you boil some tea or something. And so he never took care of it. And eventually, when he discovered that it went gangrene, it was very late. And the doctors in England recommended that he cut his toe off. The fact is, if you cut your big toe off, then you can't play soccer anymore. And you can't balance anymore. You can't dance anymore. And so they tried grafting some skin from his rear and, you know, grafted the toe. But by then, the blood was already contaminated. So it spread to his lungs and to his brain, etc. And none of us in the band knew, because he didn't really talk about it. He did, in fact, ask me to take him to a doctor in England to check it out. And that's when the doctor told him to cut it off. And he didn't want to cut it off. And all of the people who advised him told him, no, it's got to be another way, you know. Don't listen to this doctor. But in fact, the doctor was quite right. I think he would have lived if he'd taken away that element so it wouldn't spread, you know, throughout his body. And he went to play soccer in New York just before the Stevie Wonder tour. And he had like a stroke and went into a fit and eventually came out of it. And then everyone got really scared and took him to the doctor. And then they realized that the cancer was in his lungs, and it was a big tumor in his brain about this big. And that's what caused him to have the stroke. And they diagnosed that he had maybe 2 weeks to live. Of course, no one in the band knew this. So we're, getting ready to do this concert. And Alan, the soccer player, ex-manager of Bob, came to the band and said, we need to have a meeting. There's something going on you guys should know about. And he explained everything to us, and that the doctors recommended that Bob no longer tour until they could see what they could do further, if they could do anything at all. And we were like in shock, everybody was in shock. Like, we're looking at each other like, what's going on? This can't be real. There's nothing wrong with him. We were hanging out yesterday, But the people who knew that he had the stroke knew something was going on. And those were mainly the guys who played soccer with him every day. It wasn't the band. We were off doing other things like buying instruments or whatever, being in New York, And so we decided that if this is going to be the last concert, then we got to play the best we've ever played in our lives, and just make it be a positive energy, and maybe that energy would help to make him well. And, I went into Bob's dressing room, and he was like looking in the mirror and going like this, because you can't see nothing. And he's going, can't see nothing, but the doctor said there's something big in there like this, and I've been getting headaches lately and not knowing why, and et cetera, et cetera. And he did the concert, and it was flawless, And everyone's saying, but how can he be that sick and only have 2 weeks to live? And look how he's performing. So his inner self didn't accept it, but his physical self was showing the signs, and it was very evident that something wasn't right. And so he went to the Sloan Kettering Cancer Research Clinic in New York, and they gave him some chemotherapy that was pretty heavy, and his hair fell off, and that wasn't helping. He just lost a lot of weight from that, because that pretty much destroys all the cells, the good and the bad in your body. But then we decided to try this German doctor, Dr. Hissels in Bavaria, and he had success with a few of his patients by treating them with serum, the liquids from plants, the protein, and that was all that you would intake intravenously, because with chemotherapy, it affects your intestines, your digestive system, and Bob's digestive system after the radiation treatment was like somebody tied a knot in it and made it really tight, so he couldn't digest anything. And so the only way that he could be helped was to feed him intravenously liquid. And he started to gain weight, because eventually they would have to cut him and go inside and undo that knot. But unfortunately, we have this thing in Jamaica where we believe that certain foods can cure certain things, but it's not really true, And so they brought him food that he hadn't ate for months. Like there's a thing called cassava, and they make something that they call a bammy. It's like what some people call a dumpling. You guys know what a dumpling is? But it takes a long time to digest. And so he couldn't really digest anything. And they gave him fish, and they gave him that. And he was like, wow, I've ate this stuff for months. And the doctor already warned everyone, don't give my patient nothing to eat. Nobody. And they did it behind the doctor's back. And of course, he couldn't digest it, and it was coming out of his pores. And of course, the doctor came back and threw everybody out, including Bob, because he said, I can't save you now. I can't cut you. You don't have enough body strength. And so they put Bob on a Concorde and took him to Miami, and they had to take him straight to the hospital, and he passed. And that was that. And I was in Jamaica, because he'd asked me to go to Jamaica and check on the house studio, our recording studio. make sure everything was cool down there. And I arrived home and I turned the radio on. And as I turned it on, I heard Jamaican first third world superstar Bob Marley just passed in Miami. And I kind of froze, but I think, well, I just left him in Germany. He was fine. Because I didn't know that they gave him this food to eat. I found out later on. And I was like, my eyes were full of water, and I grabbed my guitar, and I ended up writing this song that I'd never done before in my life, write a song just off the cuff. The words, the lyric, the music, everything just came out. And the song was titled, Life Without You, It's Not the Same. So that was the passing of Bob Marley. But the music is still here, and we're here to talk about it and enjoy it. So don't feel too bad. You know, part of life. There's one thing I like to add. Whenever I think of Bob, I always smile because he liked to smile a lot. I'm sure you've seen a lot of pictures with him. Didn't he have a beautiful smile? So I want you guys to smile. Don't feel too bad that, you know, the story is a little bit morbid, but it's just another way of life, you know, just things happen in life. Sometimes we know the reason why, sometimes we don't know the reason why, and maybe that's the way it was written for Bob. So he did a great work, and it lives on, you know, so be happy and just enjoy his music, okay?
And part of the reason why it lives on is because of yourself and other members of the Wailers that kept it going for quite a few years after his passing, which meant that you moved from playing lead guitar to being the lead singer as well. And I think that you're going to play a little bit for us, demonstrating just that move from being one of the band to leading it.
Yeah, well, before I joined Bob, I was singing and playing guitar. And when I joined, I was doing backing vocals. And he'd say to me, "You ready to sing yet?" You know, joking with me sometimes, because like he figured if he had a little sore throat or something, I could maybe sing a couple of lines and help him out, you know. So he allowed me to sing a couple of lines. Actually, I sing a couple of lines on Could You Be Love. And a lot of people think that it's Bob, but it's actually me. And the Wailers had a pretty turmoil passage after Bob's passing, because Bob, when he was very young, signed a lot of contracts, publishing deals and stuff, not knowing the business side of things, made a lot of mistakes. And so when most of us got together with Bob, we never signed anything. It was just a handshake. And of course, when he passed, the lawyers loved that. Oh, more money for us. You guys don't have a piece of paper? So the Wailers had a pretty turmoil time since the passing of Bob. We never actually got paid for our royalties and stuff because, you know, music industry is not, don't care. You have to negotiate. And so I would advise you all guys to learn the business side of the music business if you're going to be involved. Don't rely on anybody else but yourself. And don't share lawyers. Get your own lawyer. You know, it's like conflict of interest when you share something like that. And, you know, it's part of the business. You have to learn. You know, if you think back to all the blues musicians who would get a bear for their song, and now those songs generate millions of dollars, you know, they don't get anything, you know. And it hasn't really changed. If you're naive and you don't know the business, people will take advantage, you know. Whether they're good people or not, that's another story. But when people see an opportunity, it's like a temptation to just, well, this person's quite happy. They don't want the money. I'll just keep it. You know, so you need to know what your rights are when it comes to the business side of thing. And 2 weeks ago, Family Man Barrett, the bass player, who's the most senior member of the Wailers right now, who's still alive, called us and said we need to get back together. So right now we have lawyers drafting contracts for us to get back together. And we hope to be back on the road December or January. But this time, there'll be a piece of paper. So anyway, I'm just going to play you a couple of songs. One of them is quite happy, and one of them is quite a little bit sad, but it's a very good message. If you feel like singing along or clapping your hands or standing up and dancing, please help me out here, okay? I'm serious. First one is called Stir It Up. You might all know this. And Bob wrote it, I think, when he was in the kitchen and dinner was being prepared. And it's a really cool little song. Know that? Yeah. Stir it up, little darling, stir it up. Come on and stir it up, little darling, stir it up. It's been a long, long time since I've got you on my mind. And now you are here. I said it's okay. See what we can do, honey. Just me and you. Everybody sing. Stir it up, little darling. Stir it up. Come on, baby. Come on and stir it up. Woo, 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 wee. Ooh, little darling, stir it up. I'll push the wood. I'll blaze your fire. Said I'd satisfy your heart's desire. Said I'd stir it, yeah, every little minute. All you got to do is keep within it and stir it up. Little darling, stir it up. Come on and stir it up. Little darling, stir it up. Come on, baby. Now listen to this. Quench me when I'm thirsty. Won't you cool me down when I'm hot? Your recipe, my darling, is so tasty. And you sure can stir your pot, so stir it up. Everybody say, little darling, stir it up. Come on, come on, come on, come on, stir it up. Woo, 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 wee. Ooh, little darling, stir it up. Now I want you all to stir it together. Can you do that? Come along, say, stir it, stir it, stir it together. 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 Yeah, 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 yeah. Stir it up. Little darling, stir it up. Come on, baby. Come on and stir it up. Woo, 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 wee. Little darling. See, Bob's songs are quite lively and fun, you know. A lot of his music was very fun and enjoyable and very simple. You know, a baby can understand it. Grandma can dance to it, you know. And then you have other songs that have a very positive and strong message. And there's also a very spiritual side to Bob as well, being a Rastafarian. Being a Rastafarian basically is just the elements of all the good things from all the religions, you know, whether you're a Christian, a Muslim, a Jew, or whatever. It's the positive and the good in that or out of that that makes you a Rasta. Looking for the truth and trying to practice it. I mean, we're not perfect, but if you try, you become a Rasta. Not about the hair, it's not about the clothes, not about smoking marijuana. It's just about enjoying each other and being of service for each other. You know, I might sweep the streets and you might be a doctor or a lawyer. It's all equally important because I'm keeping the place clean for you and you're going to help me when I need legal help and when I need medical help. And we exchange. We're being of service to each other. And singing music or playing music or being an artist or a dancer, it's the same thing. You're creating a feeling, an emotion, something from within that we can all share. And there's no animosity, there's no jealousy, there's no greed, there's no jealousy. It's just what you call unconditional love. And that's what I think the essence of reggae coming from Bob Marley. I mean, there's dancehall reggae that's a little bit provocative and, you know, whatever. And there's other styles of music that don't really deal with the positive side of, you know, day-to-day environment. It's more like comedy. But the reggae that we performed as Bob Marley and the Wailers, it's a mixture of fun and message and learning about life and enjoying the most beautiful gift, which is life itself. Yeah? So here's one song that is one of my favorites, and I think a lot of people love it very much. And it talks about the history of people. Because, I mean, we've all been made slaves, no matter if you come from China or India or England or Ireland or Jamaica or part of Africa. We've all used our own people as slaves. Every race has done that. Chinese did it. British did it. You know, the Irish did it. The Indians, the Africans did it. You know, we all do it, but it's not a good thing to do. So we have to move towards a better way of treating each other. And we've been able to abolish slavery on one level, but there's still mental slavery. There's still slavery, which is like professional jealousy type slavery. There are all different types of slavery that we're still learning how to rid ourselves of. So we don't have to have any more wars or anything like that, you know? Right? So here we go. All pirates, yes, they rob I, sold I to the merchant ships. Minutes after they took I from the bottomless pit, but my hand was made strong by the hands of the Almighty. We forward in this generation triumphantly. Won't you help to sing another song of freedom? 'Cause all I ever have, redemption song, redemption song. Emancipate yourself from mental slavery. None but ourselves, free our minds. Have no fear for atomic energy, 'cause none of them can stop at the time. How long shall they kill our prophets while we stand aside and look? Some say it's just a part of it. We've got to fulfill the book. Won't you help to sing these songs of freedom? 'Cause all I ever have, redemption song, redemption song, songs of freedom. Oh, songs of freedom. Now sing it for me, children. Spabba-doo-bop today. Da-da-doo-da-da. Spabba-doo-bop today. Da-da-da-doo-da. Spabba-doo-bop today. Da-da-doo-da-da. Spabba-doo-bop today. Emancipate yourself from mental slavery. None but ourselves. Free our minds. Have no fear for atomic energy, 'cause none of them are gonna stop at the time. How long shall they kill our prophets while we stand aside and look? Some say it's just a part of it. We've got to fulfill the book. Won't you help to sing another song of freedom? 'Cause all I ever have, redemption song, redemption song, songs of freedom. Oh, songs of freedom. Now sing it for me, children. Spabba-doo-bop today. Spabba-doo-bop today. Spabba-doo-bop today. Whoa. Spabba-doo-bop today. Songs of freedom. Songs of freedom. Songs of freedom. Thank you, guys. Thank you all for being here. Please give a nice round of applause to Ari. I get it right?
Yes.
Stand up. Come on. Love you guys. One last thing. Those of you who are songwriters, try to write a song every day. I'm serious. Bob Marley tried to write a song every day. At the end of the year, he'd have about maybe 150, and he'd take the best 15 or 12 for the album. So just keep writing, and things will happen. Okay? All right.